All right, so everyone has been talking about GPT chat released by OpenAI. It's basically like everyone knows about GPT-3. You prompt it and it gives you some text back. It completes your text, whatever. This is kind of a similar thing, but a little bit more fine-tuned, but in a chat format, like a chat bot or like a messaging format, like you would text with your friends. And it's been blowing up. People are I don't know what it is about the chat format, but it seems like it just makes people want to use it more. It's easier to use. And so people
Yeah.
have been using it. And the results, I think finally the world is really starting to understand what you and I have been talking about for a while, that, this is really revolutionary. Uh, Kind of crazy. Like it could defeat even Google in terms of being a first place to go to for search for stuff, search for information. But yeah, I don't know. What were your thoughts when you saw it?
Yeah, I think it's a game changer. The Personally, I feel like they didn't make a huge advancement in terms of AI or how they were doing things. They already had GPT-3. So if you ask GPT-3, give me an explanation for this code, then GPT-3 will actually give you an explanation for the code. And it'll be in like human readable format, and it shows that, right? Or if you said, write me code that does this, it will write you code, but it won't explain what the thing is, right? So like people say, oh, look, it wrote code. That's not very viral because a lot of people do if else, like if someone asks for this, then spit out this code. And they think it's AI is the same thing when it's completely not. But then actually when you combine both of them together where it actually writes the code and the context is there together, I'm thinking that like behind the scenes they're probably splitting up that into multiple pieces and like saying, oh, explain it here, put the code here, explain it again. Like they somehow got the thing to do it in that way. Then it's a game changer because when a human reads it, they're like, whoa, the machine understands what's going on. You
Yeah,
know?
it's not like just generating like copy pasting code that it's found somewhere that might be relevant, but it's also explaining why it's working the way it is and things like that,
Yeah,
right?
and like what is inside the mind of it? Like it seems like it's sentient. Like that I think that's why people are so freaked out, is that it doesn't just do like a programmatic like, oh, okay. Because I've talked to some people about like OpenAI and like some of the crazy stuff that it was able to do before GPT chat. And they're just like, oh, well, it's just kind of getting it from the internet, or it's just, spitting it out. And it's just a used solution that you would have gotten on Stack Overflow anyway.
I see.
But then like it's like no, it's not really. But
Yeah.
then when you interact with GPT chat, it's like for sure there like it feels so different. Even though like the you would have gotten to the same code, it feels really really different because the context is there and it explains itself and it's
Yeah.
so cogent.
Yeah. And it's like you could see it here, this person, I don't know if you can see my screen, but he's
Oh, yeah, I
saying
can see it.
he's basically asking for an explanation of how magnets and magnetic fields work, which already would be impressive to explain. But
Yeah.
like now he's telling them to do it using an abundant use of otter metaphors, you know? And it's like using it and it's talking about like magnets and how like they're kind of similar to otters because they're playful or whatever and all this stuff. And so you can obviously it's clear that this is like generating it. It's not just copy pasting it from somewhere. It's generated this answer in this unique format, and even using it's even able to use how like oh they're attracted to each other just as like otters are attracted to a nose is attracted to another otter's tail, or they stick together like otters hold hands together. It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so it's basically able to make like one level deep connections between things, which is what we found as like very human like. I think that's why it's so shocking, is that the ability to make metaphors, the ability to like make connections, do it in particular styles and personalities, like we always associate that with the human realm, and then we associate like robotic answers and that kind of thing with the machine realm. And I think people are so shocked because some of these responses like confuse you because it's like so much in the human realm. You're like, whoa, like I always thought it would be like the Jetsons or all the like characterizations of what AI and machines and robots would be like, where it's like very like, oh, I will do that, yes, no, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then in reality, like when it's getting really smart, I don't know, maybe it's not surprising that it's very human-like, but I guess it was going here anyway. Like some point it was going to get here, and the way that technology was progressing. But it's just shocking to see it in real life.
Yeah.
Wow, is it almost here? Like, are we that close? Like, we thought that this was far away, like at least 5-10 years away, but it's already generating stuff that is really freaky and disconcerting.
Yeah. So let's talk about kind of like what this means, for the world and specifically other big companies, and current products out in the world. So for example, I think for me, the power of GPT-3 hit me when I actually started playing with it, and I was asking it things about like diagnosing my medical condition when I was like feeling sick, and it gave me like, I asked it to give me probabilities of diagnoses given the following symptoms, and it was crazy in that like it was crazy because I had before I had asked GPT-3 that, I had been Googling for like maybe an hour, trying to like list all my symptoms and like trying to figure it out what could it be. And then, it's not super clear. I kind of have to kind of guess what my thing is. I finally end up calling the doctor in like the middle of the night, and they told me like, oh, I think it's this and this. And that's exactly what GPT-3 told me. And GPT-3 did it instantly. And it would have, it like, for me, it was a way better experience than Googling for an hour. And it was also it was cheaper than calling a doctor, And so primary care, like physicians, like I think they're kind of, I feel I can see this disrupting that space. But let's talk about Google, and like, it can disrupt Google, it can disrupt search. But I think everyone is starting to realize that as they're playing with it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is like way more efficient than than me Googling. Everyone's starting to like realize that now.
Yeah.
But obviously, Google is also working on a large language model. So my question is kind of like, what is the future of large language models and this AI technology?
Yeah.
What is the end state going to look like? There's so many, all the big companies are working on it basically, right? Like Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft is partnering with OpenAI as well, but everybody's working on this large language model, text generation, text prediction, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win? How is this gonna play out, you think?
Yeah. Well, first of all, props to you, because you kind of called this is more useful to Google and Google might be in trouble. And that was, before GPT chat came out. I think the world is like realizing that that's useful now when the model got really good. But before the model was good, you kind of already knew the implications of it. So, I think it's cool to try to see the future, and it's exciting to see some of our predictions panning out.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just like a jam session, and like sometimes we're actually right about seeing what.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of exciting. It's like it's definitely in the realm of possibility that we're right. And it's exciting to see like, oh wow, there's implications to that. It's like to be able to see, oh, the iPhone's disruptive, like to see that like 5 years ahead. It's cool, like it translates into many different things, not just investment, but just it's kind of cool to see like where everything's headed before it actually gets there. And then in retrospect, everyone's like, oh, for sure this was going to happen, but not many people actually saw it in the future,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that basically this would be very disruptive to Google. OpenAI does have some of the best AI people in the world. I would say that they're neck and neck in some sense, because that's why Google acquired DeepMind. So DeepMind is the most similar to OpenAI that we have out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it does say something when a company buys DeepMind. You would think that huge company, would have the dev resources and the software expertise to be able to create something like DeepMind when they have the most data in the entire world, right? But I think it shows that sometimes it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter how big your coffers are, you can't buy innovation, you can't buy hustle, you can't buy like that hunger for innovation that is there in that particular team. So they had to buy DeepMind. That tells me that we can't just say that Google's going to win. Even if they know that this is very important, AI is very important, all this other stuff, they're already showing like signs of age. Like they have to keep buying innovation. They can't like produce it from within itself. I would say that's different from other companies like Tesla, where you can actually home grow some of the innovation within itself. But some companies, they're so big now, like they just lost the ball. Like GE used to be a crazy huge conglomerate, and everyone's like, you can't go wrong with General Electric, or GM or something. But they are the furthest thing from innovation and new products, new groundbreaking disruptive products now. So it just shows like over time that bureaucracy can just totally slow down innovation to a halt until the only thing they can do is use their meager profits to just acquire. And then once you acquire, then all the innovation stops, right? So, it's interesting. Like OpenAI has a very big investment from Microsoft, which is not necessarily a good thing. But so far, it doesn't seem to have been slowing them down. Microsoft has basically allowed OpenAI to continue doing what they're doing. They're like, hey, if we put our engineers here, we're probably going to mess it all up. So they just let them do whatever they're going to do. That leads me to believe that OpenAI is going to be on the cutting edge and not Google. I think in the race to get a truly intelligent AI, I'm thinking that OpenAI is slightly in the lead.
I mean, they're definitely the most, I would say of all the publicly available stuff, like they're definitely in the lead. Like, I mean, we've tried Stable Diffusion versus, DALL-E, and Stable Diffusion is cool in that it's open to everyone, but DALL-E, OpenAI's DALL-E is just, in terms of quality, is just like way better, right? And same thing here. I think they're definitely in the lead for this kind of like text generation stuff, but I don't know. Like, but Google and Facebook and Amazon, I don't think they've been pushing a public product as much, and so I don't fully know. They probably have a lot of things secretly like under wraps. I'm sure they're working on a lot of similar stuff here. And so like I guess it's like how big of a lead is good enough, and like, do people care if it's like 1% better, or does OpenAI continually have to maintain like a 20%, 50% better lead, And what happens? I mean, OpenAI is interesting because they are like a nonprofit, so I don't know what I think they want to be on the cutting edge so that they're making AI safe for everyone. That's kind of like their mission or whatever.
On one hand, people can say, oh, hey, OpenAI can remain in the lead because the way that AI even works is there's a lot of data and feedback, and then you use that to train the models, and then you get better and better responses. So because OpenAI is an open model and millions of people are trying it out and trying different prompts, and they're like, that's not quite what I meant. It all feeds back into the model and saying, oh, the user did not find that response helpful. And then it can keep getting better and better at the responses. And it just feeds all that data right back in, right? So then that's the advantage over a private product, is that they might be able to maintain the lead ironically by putting it out in the open. As long as they're the first ones and everyone adopts it, they can maintain the lead as a moat that is insurmountable no matter how much money you throw at the problem. However, that's on one hand. On the other hand, where was this GPT chat? Like, this was not an incremental thing. Like, it would be one thing if, like, 10 years ago, they're like, here's GPT chat. And then after everyone was working on it and like using it, normal users, millions of people were using it for like 10 years, you slowly see it morph into a smarter and smarter being as they keep feeding the data back in. Like kind of like Tesla's full self-driving and stuff. Like if you saw something like that, then you're like, oh, it is okay that they're open, and that might be a moat. But the thing is, they released it and it was crazy good from day one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That ironically makes me feel like, oh, that's scary, because then Google's secret projects, Amazon's secret projects, what if it actually is very advanced and they don't need the user feedback? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like it was so amazing. The V1 launch, it was so amazing, even without user feedback. And yeah, like I think, like the big thing here with these models is like the larger and larger the models get, they've been, generally seeing like the performance improves, the quality improves. And so I don't know, like at some point, and also like GPT chat is like going viral right now because it's free. And it's in like a really easy to use interface. I think that's partly why GPT-3 didn't go as viral. Well, one, it was like initially into the beta, like waitlisting. Then you had to like use this kind of like a weird interface to like prompt it and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's not free right now.
Yeah, it's not free anymore. So same thing, like, I mean, this stuff is not cheap to to produce. Obviously, like GPU costs and all that stuff is going to go down over time. But yeah, like, how long can they keep it free? And when will they start putting a price on it? And then what if Google somehow is able to, is it like, for me, is it like, it's almost a question of like, I'm wondering, is it whoever can get the GPU cost down the fastest and like a step change there might even be the winner, because they can offer it for a cheaper free price or something like that.
Yeah. Well, but then OpenAI is actually better at delivering this than anyone out there.
I mean, yeah, right now, like
it's not like Stable Diffusion where it's open source and you can just get the GPU cost down. It's like, even if they don't win on GPU costs, like there's so much value here that I think people will be forced to pay more for it. Even if there's other text language models out there, because of their brain trust of like, AI computer scientists and PhDs that actually got it to like behave this way.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm wondering though, like how do you monopolize this technology, right? Because a lot of innovations, like people aren't able to profit from it. Like it's an innovation, but not one company can profit from it. Yeah. Whereas some innovations people profit from.
Yeah, you're right. Like there's tons of like inventions where like the inventor is poor and dies poor, but they changed the entire world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it couldn't be protected. And yeah, I think it is concerning for OpenAI, is that what if someone uses it and the main monetary value was they asked the AI, like, how do I do XYZ? And then that, like, say they did like a Nobel Prize winning like invention, or it was like a Pulitzer Prize winning book. And that is the thing that brought in like billions of dollars. So some other companies getting the billions of dollars, but OpenAI is poor. Because they're just like constantly giving out their creations for nothing. Like
yeah.
But some of them have gold mines, but they don't have the ability to extract rent from the gold mines. You know? But it could not have been done without the technology. So it's not like free and clear with their business model, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like I see, like you're right. I think the value here is a lot. So therefore, people would be potentially willing to pay for it. But my concern is GPT-3. Let's say GPT-3 is 5% better than Google's model when Google comes out, right? But Google offers it for free, whereas OpenAI, they offer it for like 1 cent, or like half a cent per query or something like that. You know, I don't like, for me, like I would take the 5% worse quality for free than pay like the half a cent thing to OpenAI.
Yeah. So we saw that actually happen. Because DALL-E 2 is way better, But then
Yeah.
Stable Diffusion went all over the internet, and a lot more people did Stable Diffusion because it was open source and free.
Yeah.
So then that exploded. So that's interesting. That basically a company with deep pockets like Google, they know that they're losing millions of dollars, but they could care less because they're making hundreds of billions.
Yeah.
So
Like
yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if this is going to play out like the search engine wars, where it's like there's probably costs like server costs and all that to like having a really good search engine and all that stuff. But it was free. I mean, I guess it was free, but imagine the way that Google won was they had a better quality search service, and then everyone just started using Google, and then at that point, even if there's a really good search engine right now, even if there is a search engine that's 5% better than Google, people aren't going to switch over because it's so ingrained into this. So for me, I feel like it's whoever like puts this out for free first and just gets mass adoption and just becomes the default place to go to. Like,
that's true.
They might win it, and then they'll monetize it off of other ways, like Google monetized search by doing search ads.
Yeah.
Like they might also do like ads and monetize it a different way, but offering the service for free. Because I don't know how you're gonna win this thing when there's multiple competitors, big competitors, scary competitors there, who you could just undercut you on costs.
Yeah, that's true. So you bring up a really good point. Is that you might be able to win as a company just from network effects and switching costs. Like the other app has to be 10 times better for you to even bother switching. Mm-hmm. And right now, they're definitely them releasing GPT chat probably cost them millions of dollars in GPU, because they're offering it for free and everyone's clicking it rapidly and like,
I think the site went down the other day, but
the site went down. Like they use so much GPU cycles that they're probably like, oh, this is so painful. Like the millions of dollars just draining from their bank account. Because us playing with, Stable Diffusion and stuff was painful for us to see the dollars, rack up and everything. But it's crazy to like just imagine this is so much crazier in terms of GPU requirements. But I think that it might be like this very strategic play where they're capturing the world's attention right now. There is no Stable Diffusion for GPT chat. Yep. They're eating the cost, even though it's very painful. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully they're known as like, oh, I'll just OpenAI it, And just like we say, I'll just Google it. It's if everyone just says, oh, I'll OpenAI it or something, or AI it or whatever the term will be in the future. I think that'll be very interesting. And it's search engines are like they're ripe for disruption. It's been 20 years, and largely it's just you type something in and you expect to see a website. Like largely it's the same for 20 years.
Yeah,
and, AI is improving by leaps and bounds. It's actually it used to be once every 5 years, right? But then now it's once every like 3 months. It's getting faster and faster. It was like 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 6 months. Now it's at 3 months. Like the rate of a huge breakthrough in AI is getting so fast that we might, it's going to be very soon before this really starts affecting our lives in a very deep way.
Yeah, for sure. It's happening very fast.
So yeah, it's exciting. Hopefully, OpenAI wins. I'm rooting for them.
I like them just because they're like kind of like the underdog. Like they're like this new, smaller team, and it's kind of cool that they're also nonprofit in some sense. I don't know how that's gonna work out and like how they think about competition and. I don't know how that works when you're a nonprofit, like, because that's not even like their main goal. Their main goal is not revenue, It's like So maybe they don't care to some degree about competition, but I don't know.
But what's interesting though is that in order for them to control or like have an influence over how AI would work, like they existentially want to win the race for general AI. So general AI is like,
Yep.
basically the computer can think for itself and on par with humans. That will be very scary time, but also it's like a completely revolutionary time. But if they're saying, hey, general AI is going to be so scary because it'll improve so fast and it'll improve itself, that like a million years of advancement in human history can happen in like a day in the computer world. That's going to be so scary that there needs to be some way to regulate it, right? Then do we want big bad Google or big bad like Microsoft? I don't know, like any company that has for-profit motives to win that race, or do we want OpenAI where in their constitution and their charter they're trying to make it be a good thing with good rules and have it like controlled, right? Kind of like what with Elon Musk like taking over Twitter, it's you get to set the rules if you own the infrastructure. So they have even though they're nonprofit, they have a very deep incentive to try to win and try to win.
I agree. Yeah.
So hopefully like the workers, the employees there are going to be so motivated to try to win, and it'll attract people who are, into the mission. That they might even like have for-profit actions. It seems like for-profit, even though on the big picture they're nonprofit. That they might try to win out over all the big companies and beat them, and maybe even generate more income than them, because that is still part of their mission to control general AI. Like they need to win in order to control the narrative and make general AI.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So maybe they want it to be like a service that nobody profits from in a sense, Like,
So they want to win it and then make it so that no one can profit from it because they won.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is interesting. Yeah, it'll be really. I'm curious to see kind of like the reactions to this from the other players in the space and see where this all goes to. I also hear GPT-4 is like in the works, and so that'll be crazy to see what happens there.
Yeah. So how about we end it with you typing in, how will GPT chat make money?
I like that.
If there are competitors coming.
Okay. Let's do it.
Maybe you can help us, and it'll be a good way to end it.
So how will OpenAI
make money from ChatGPT if other highly motivated for-profit companies are also releasing similar products? Yeah, and we never like actually did this. This is a real time. We never did it beforehand.
Okay, that's what they said. Their primary focus on advancing the state of artificial intelligence rather than make money. As licensing their technology or other companies are trying to continue pushing the boundaries and developing innovation. Okay, how will OpenAI maintain their lead over Google in pushing the boundaries of AI? Okay. They could continue to invest in research and development, attract top talent, and collaborate with other leading organizations in the field. OpenAI has the advantage of being independent, which allows them to make decisions and allocate resources based on their research goals rather than being driven by the need to generate profits. It's talking about their incentives and just basically their reputation and brand, I guess, in attracting the best.
Yeah. At the end of the day, any company's success goes down to the people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happened in the past. If you have a great team and you have smart people, you're going to start beating out other companies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just like throwing stuff in here. It's so addicting, man. This chat thing is so addicting, you know? It just makes you want to ask
Yeah.
another follow-up question,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Seriously, like people online, they were talking about asking about some type of programming related questions, and then they
Yeah.
started talking about like cats and philosophy, and like they're just
Yeah.
talking with the chat for hours because it's
Yeah.
so addicting. Uh,
Okay, sweet.
okay,
Well,
well, that's great.
hope, yeah, good chatting.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. See
Bye.
ya.